Hi, welcome to our Web Consulting's video on how to effectively create, manage, and analyze how you're using QR codes as part of your campaigns. What gave me this idea is that we're seeing QR codes being used by marketers everywhere, even though less than 5% of consumers are really actively scanning them or even know what they are. We've even got to the point where we have whole sites dedicated to the stupid places some companies are putting QR codes. Here's one of those sites that I found on the internet. On billboards, on cars that are going down the freeway. How hard is that going to be to scan? Anyways, that's not the point of this video. I'm going to go in and quickly jump in on how the best way to create QR codes and then to kind of analyze how they're being used by your consumers. What we're going to get to, I'm going to kind of show you a spreadsheet first, and this is where we want to end up at the end of this video. It's having a spreadsheet that tracks your QR code. So maybe we'll do, for this example, a spring sale campaign, and you might have, print ads, TV, video, pamphlets being mailed out. The point is, this spreadsheet would just track the QR codes. You could, use this information as part of a bigger marketing plan. But the main required fields I always encourage my clients to use are these. The first four are pretty basic: the title of the QR code, where it's going to be used. Magazine, if you were ever going to put one on a TV, a pamphlet, maybe even actually the product packaging. Destination URL, where does the QR code click through or scan through? And I'll use those words interchangeably because a QR code is basically you're scanning it, but at the end of the day, it's a click through. Always insert the QR code into my spreadsheet. That way I have a good history of it, and I can always test it. And here are the fields that I really recommend my clients use to get through to the analysis part of how they're using QR codes. So impressions, click-throughs, and outcomes. Impressions is how many people you expect to see the QR code. So if you have an ad in a magazine and you know that magazine goes out to 200,000 people monthly, your impressions would be 200,000 people. But you might only get 10,000 click-throughs, and maybe only 2,000 of those will actually result in a sale. Outcome doesn't have to be sales-oriented. It could be, stayed on site over a minute, left a comment on the blog. You can, define what the outcome is. What a successful click-through on the QR code is another way to phrase it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a QR code and show you how I would go about filling out this spreadsheet. So I'm going to close out the stupid QR code thing. Two ways to generate QR codes. First one is there's a lot of free QR code generators on the internet. If you do use one of these, I highly recommend. Here's one that I've used before, QR Stuff, that when you create the QR code, here it asks for the website URL, and you might have here your website URL. So you'd input that as, if you have Google Analytics on your site, well, even before that, let me back up. Bitly this. So most of the free tools don't provide click-through or scan reports. Very few do. Most of the paid solutions do, and that's the advantage of using a paid solution. They'll report on how many people scanned or clicked through on that QR code. If you use the free version, just go to Bitly, put in the URL where the QR code is going to click through or scan through. For this example, I'm just going to have some fun and use an example for a site called, let's say, huntingmarmosets.com. And no, I don't pygmy marmosets, but this is a domain that is untaken and it's not going to infringe on anyone's rights. So they do own that domain, they won't get offended. So I'm going to click on shorten, and here's the Bitly link that I would use in the free QR code generator. And the advantage of this is then at the end of the day I can get clicks. See how down here it's 0 out of 0? As people scan the Bitly, or the QR code, it'll hit the Bitly link, it'll report a scan here, and then it'll forward to the site hunting-marmosets.com. So this is where I would use in here. I'm not going to go through and here for this site. It would just download the QR code here. The other option is to use, which we always recommend if you have the budget, to use a paid solution. Here is one. Oops, sorry. So I set up a campaign called Spring Sale. This is iNigma, an enterprise solution. Its costs can vary, but this is a paid solution tool that will automatically track QR code clicks or scan rates, so you don't have to go through the trouble of bitling the links. It provides you to kind of even configure how much a scan is worth and so forth, but we're going to do that through Google Analytics in our spreadsheet, so we're not too worried about that right now. But I just had all this campaign, Spring Sale campaign codes. I'm going to go to the a website. So here I would just put in, for our example only, huntingmarmosets.com. Oh, sorry, that would be the code name. So the code here is what I'm going to do is, let's say there's a magazine, a hunting magazine that I'm advertising in, and that's where the QR code is going to be used. I'm going to go ahead and title it Hunting Magazine, and I always use lowercase just to be consistent. Hunting Magazine ad, and the URL, this is where it's going to click through the QR code or scan through when people use their smartphones. It's going to go to the site huntingmarmosets.com, or maybe I have this new product, a marmoset, pygmy marmoset trap that I'm really pushing in the spring campaign. So I would could add that products pygmy. I'm not sure if I'm spelling pygmy right. Trap.html. Any notes you want to put here? So, you know, QR code being used in hunting magazine. Let's say it's going to appear on the back page cover. I'm going to output it to EPS. Usually you'll want JPEG. EPS is more of a source code file. If whoever you're providing it to hasn't specified, go ahead and provide them EPS format, and if they need a different format like GIF or JPEG, you can always come back into the tool and provide it. All these other ones I'm going to skip for now. They're not required fields, but you have the gist. Go ahead and save the code, and it's going to produce the QR code, which you can then download. And I missed a huge, I'm glad I caught this. So I missed one of my points that I made earlier is that I want to use Google Analytics. That way I can track the outcomes of after people scan the QR code. So even though I created the QR code, I can change the URL. You cannot have one QR code obviously go to two URLs, but you can always change the URL once a QR code is created. So even if you send this to the magazine and you realize, oh wow, this was an HTML, this should have been PHP, you can go ahead and make that change no problem. So that's a good thing. But I'm going to go ahead and use Google Analytics UTM URL builder. Again, if you're using Google Analytics on where the scan or the click-through drives through, I highly recommend tagging that link. So here again, I could call this Spring Sale. Let's say the medium is, again, it's going to be in the hunting magazine. These are not required. Actually, the campaign is going to go down here, Spring Sale. And for the source, I'm going to put, this is a QR code that's going to drive to this URL. So again, campaign name, Spring Source. It's coming through a magazine, and it's a QR code that I'm going to tag this link. So when you hit generate URL here, it automatically, Google Analytics then provides the tracking tags. You'll want to copy and paste this whole URL. Easy. And here I can just update where that QR code should go to. Again, it's the my website here, huntingmarmosets.com, and I'm gonna drive to a certain pygmy trap that I am, is a big push for my spring sale campaign. Again, and then Google Analytics provided this tracking code, so I can go in and see afterwards, how many people clicked through on this QR code or scanned the QR code and then came to my site and maybe even purchased that pygmy trap. So save code. I've already downloaded the code. None of the QR code actually changes the pixels. Again, changing the URL or the code name does not change the actual QR code, which is great, because you can always update these if you need to. So we're all done with our setup. You're going to go ahead and maybe send this off to the magazine and say, or whoever's doing your product packaging, and say, please use this QR code. And then once the campaign launches, I'm going to go ahead and copy code name. And a lot of these are going to be the same. So just keep it consistent. So it's easy for you to go back and do the reporting and analysis. And here I can actually insert the QR code. And Paid Solutions offers some of these reports, but again, for those three columns at the end, I like to do it in my own spreadsheet. Oops, and here's that QR code I just generated. Make it really small so it fits in there. Impressions. So let's say the magazine again said there's 200,000 people that are going to see that ad. We're done for now. So the banner ad runs advertising in the Hunting Marmoset magazine. It runs your ad, which has a little QR code. Maybe part of that ad is touting the pygmy marmoset trap. And let's say I have 200,000. Then through Google Analytics, you can easily tell by sorting, going into the campaign report, how many people clicked through or scanned this QR code. So as you remember, our QR code, the campaign name was, I believe, Spring Sale. So again, you would run the Google Analytics campaign report, look for this QR code in the Google Analytics report. I won't get into that right now, just for the short length of the video. Hopefully you can do that. And then let's say you see maybe 10,000 people actually scanned or clicked through on that QR code, which would be great. An interaction rate of a couple percent, I think, is about average. If here we're looking at 5%, that would be exceptional. So outcomes again might be maybe they spent more than 2 minutes on your site. Maybe you're going to do a hard conversion like an actual sale. But again, because you have this QR code tagged with Google Analytics, you can run the relevant report in Google Analytics and determine how many people came from the spring sale campaign through the media magazine using that QR code. And you might discover that, hey, this resulted in, let's say, 2,500 sales, which again would be absolutely fantastic, which is a 25% conversion rate. Hopefully we're all doing that on our sites, right? But again, this provides you the insight, the outcome of that QR code. Right now, people are using QR codes, and they're not even getting the basic click-throughs. They're not asking the advertisers, or thinking about how many times that QR code is going to be used. And very few, even less, are actually looking at the outcomes, once people scan it. At the very most, I'm seeing people, going through either their paid QR code solutions and determine scan rates, how many people click through on it, or if they're using a free solution, more than likely they'll look at Bitly and see how many people click through on it. But we really need to get to this point on determining, hey, if I did this, ran this ad and had the QR code pretty visible in that ad in this magazine, and I got 0 sales or 1 sales, and that ad cost let's say here was, they charged me $2,000 to run it. Let's do a $sign there. I can start to make intelligent business decisions if really I want to be running this ad with them every month. If the only, I'm largely an e-commerce site, and really no one's clicking through, or not many of those are resulting in my pygmy marmoset trap being sold. So great. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments section if you have any questions, or any better ways to improve this. But again, hopefully you guys will start using QR codes more intelligently, with a deeper look or at the actual outcomes of each of your QR code placements. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening all the way through to this video. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.